She mocked my difficult pregnancy and said I was too old for kids, then her husband exposed how she manipulated him into having 4 babies. I never thought my own sister would suggest I deserved to suffer through my pregnancy, but here we are. Let me start from the beginning. My sister and I got married around the same time, back when I was 27 and she was 24. We took different paths after that. She jumped straight into having kids while my husband and I wanted to build a foundation first. We saved for a house, traveled a bit, and made sure we felt ready. I watched her family grow to 4 kids over the years, and honestly, I was happy for her choice just like I was content with mine. Now I'm finally pregnant at 34, but this journey hasn't been what I imagined. I've been dealing with hyperemesis gravidarum, and if you don't know what that is, imagine the worst morning sickness possible, then multiply it by 100. Some days, I can barely keep water down. My mother-in-law has been my lifeline, bringing me crackers and ginger tea, sitting with me during the worst moments. My husband rearranged his entire schedule to be there for me, and my boss was understanding enough to let me work from home. My mom. Well, she's spread thin. She's usually watching my sister's kids, which I get. 4 young children need a lot of help. I've never complained about that, even on my worst days hugging the toilet bowl. Yesterday was supposed to be a happy day. My baby shower. My sister-in-law put so much effort into making it special. People were asking how I was doing, and I was just being honest about the HG. That's when my sister cut in, her voice dripping with this weird mix of superiority and resentment. Honestly. This is what happens when you get pregnant when you are old, she said, loud enough for everyone to hear. I've had 4 pregnancies and never had these issues. I guess you should have thought about this before all those trips and we are not ready yet bullshit. Some of us made sacrifices in our 20s. The room went quiet. I felt that familiar wave of nausea, but this time it wasn't from the HG. 7 years of little digs about our choices, 7 years of subtle jabs about waiting too long. It all boiled over. I told her to get the fuck out. No clever comeback, no measured response. Just raw anger pushing those words out. She grabbed my nieces and left, making sure to slam the door on her way out. The baby shower went on, but there was this heavy feeling in the air that wouldn't lift. My mom called later, saying I was just being hormonal, that I should have ignored it like all the other times. She tried explaining it away. Your sister's just bitter because she never got to enjoy her 20s like you did. She never had those trips with her husband or time to herself. As if that makes it okay to wish suffering on her own sister. My husband's furious. He says she basically said I deserve to be sick, that she took what should have been a celebration and turned it into a chance to punish me for my choices. Part of me wonders if he's right. Now everyone's asking if I should apologize for kicking her out. But I keep thinking, why am I always the one who has to smooth things over? Why do I have to be understanding about her resentment while she gets to weaponize my pregnancy complications against me? I don't know if I'm looking for advice or just needed to get this off my chest. But I do know that sitting here, still nauseous at 34, I don't regret waiting. I don't regret the trips, the savings, or making sure we were ready. What I do regret is letting her comment slide for so long that she thought it was okay to do this at my baby shower. Update 1. It's been a month since the baby shower incident, and things have taken an unexpected turn. The quiet tension in our family has erupted into something I never saw coming. My sister showed up at my door last week, not to apologize, but to double down. She stood there, arms crossed, telling me how I'd embarrassed her in front of everyone. The irony of her saying this while I was clutching my ever-present nausea bucket wasn't lost on me. But what came next knocked the wind out of me. She'd been telling extended family that I'm using my HG as an excuse to get attention, that I'm playing up my symptoms because I'm jealous of her 4 successful pregnancies. Mom's response? She suggested we all go to family therapy. Apparently, my sister's been breaking down at home, crying about how she lost her youth to motherhood while watching me live my best life in my 20s. She confessed to Mom that every photo I posted from our travels felt like a personal attack on her choices. Each time I talked about wanting to be financially ready for a baby, she heard you were irresponsible for having kids young. I sat there, bucket in lap, listening to Mom relay all this over the phone, feeling this weird mix of anger and pity. My sister's resentment had been festering for 7 years, turning every life choice I made into a referendum on hers. The trips we took weren't just vacations to her. They were proof that we thought her life choices were wrong. The house we saved for wasn't just financial planning. It was us showing off that we were better at adulting. Yesterday, she sent me a novel-length text about how she cries herself to sleep sometimes, wondering what it would have been like to travel with her husband or buy a house before kids. How she loves her children more than life but feels like she lost herself somewhere between babies 2 and 3. How watching me have it all makes her feel like she failed somehow. My husband read the text and said something that hit home. She's not mad at you for having HG. She's mad because your pregnancy represents everything she thinks she gave up. It was like he switched on a light in a dark room. Suddenly, 7 years of snide comments made sense. But here's the thing. Understanding doesn't erase the hurt. Last night, while throwing up for the 3rd time, I found myself crying not from the nausea, but from the realization that my sister couldn't even let me have this one vulnerable moment at my baby shower. She had to make my suffering about her choices, her sacrifices, her regrets. My mother-in-law, who's become my unexpected rock through all this, said something profound. Sometimes people who are drowning in regret will try to pull others under with them. She's right. My sister's not just drowning in what-ifs. She's trying to make sure I feel guilty for not drowning with her. I sent her a message back today. Told her I hear her pain, but that doesn't give her the right to wish suffering on me or invalidate my pregnancy struggles. Said we could talk about her feelings without her using my HG as a weapon. Her response? Must be nice to have the energy to write such a perfect response. Some of us are too busy being real mothers to craft elaborate messages. So here I am, 20 weeks pregnant, still hugging my bucket, wondering how we got here. My sister's pain is real, but so is my HG. Her regrets are valid, but they don't justify her cruelty. Mom keeps pushing for family therapy, but I'm not sure I have the energy to heal my sister's regrets while trying to grow a healthy baby. My husband thinks we should take a step back until after the baby comes. Says stress isn't good for me or the baby, and that my sister needs to work through her issues without using me as an emotional punching bag. Part of me knows he's right, but another part feels guilty for stepping away. That's the thing about family. Even when they hurt you, you still feel responsible for their pain. For now, I'm focusing on keeping food down and preparing for my baby. I've muted my sister's messages and asked Mom to stop playing mediator. Maybe distance will give us both space to heal. Me from HG, her from her regrets. But one thing's certain. I won't apologize for my life choices anymore, just like I won't apologize for having pregnancy complications. Some boundaries, once crossed, need to stay firmly in place. Update 2. The past 2 weeks have turned everything I thought I knew about my sister upside down. Sometimes the truth hits you in waves, and this one's been a tsunami. It started with a message from Jamie, my sister's husband. He wanted to meet for coffee. Just us. The serious tone in his voice made my stomach drop, and it wasn't the HG this time. We met at this quiet cafe near my house, and what he told me made my head spin. Turns out my sister's narrative about sacrificing her youth was a carefully crafted lie. Those early pregnancies? They weren't just eager young love like she'd always claimed. Jamie sat there, hands wrapped around his coffee cup, telling me how she'd deliberately gotten pregnant each time he brought up wanting to travel or advance his career. 4 times, he tried to discuss waiting, saving, building a foundation. 4 times, she'd accidentally gotten pregnant despite being on birth control. She saw your life as a competition, he said, voice cracking. Every trip you posted, every career advancement, every house update, she'd spiral into this dark place. Then suddenly, she'd announce another pregnancy, and I'd have to put my dreams on hold again. The weight of his words hit me like a brick. All these years, I'd been carrying guilt about having what she didn't, when in reality, she'd orchestrated her own situation. Jamie showed me years of text messages between them. Her admitting to stopping birth control without telling him, her angry rants about my perfect life, her deliberate attempts to trap him in the life she wanted. I sat there, nauseous from both morning sickness and revelations, as he explained why he was telling me this now. My sister's been pushing for a 5th baby, using my pregnancy as leverage. See? Even she's having one now. But Jamie's finally standing his ground. He's talking about divorce, about how he loves his kids but can't forgive the manipulation. When I got home, I found 10 missed calls from my sister. She knew Jamie had met me. Her voicemail started calm, then descended into hysteria. He's lying. He wanted those babies as much as I did. You're turning my own husband against me now too? Mom came over that evening, looking older than I've ever seen her. Turns out she's known about the birth control manipulation for years. She found my sister's diary during one of her babysitting days, pages filled with detailed plans about timing her pregnancies to keep Jamie from leaving, about how she needed to win against my life choices. I thought if I just helped enough with the kids, if I just supported her choices, she'd eventually find peace, Mom said, crying on my couch. But I enabled her, didn't I? I helped her trap Jamie while she tore you down for living the life she actually wanted. The next day, my sister showed up at my door. Through my security camera, I watched her pace back and forth, alternating between crying and yelling. You think you're so perfect with your planned pregnancy and your perfect house. You've ruined everything. Jamie's leaving me, and it's your fault. I didn't open the door. Instead, I sent her a text. I'm not responsible for your choices or their consequences. Please get help. She responded with a photo of her holding a positive pregnancy test. Guess what? Baby number 5. Now he has to stay. I forwarded the message to Jamie. He called me crying. Turns out he's had a vasectomy 3 months ago. Something my sister doesn't know about. The test she's holding? He found the same one, still in its wrapper, hidden in their bathroom trash. A prop for her next manipulation attempt. My husband's been my rock through all this. Last night, As I threw up for the 100th time, "Thanks, HG," he held my hair back and said, "You know none of this is your fault, right? You didn't force her to make these choices by living your life." Mom's finally stopped defending my sister. She's given Jamie the diary she found as evidence for his divorce lawyer. My sister's been telling everyone who'll listen that we're all conspiring against her, that we're trying to destroy her perfect family. The irony isn't lost on me. As I battle through this difficult pregnancy that she claimed I deserved for waiting, she's facing the consequences of rushing into motherhood for all the wrong reasons. I feel horrible for my nieces and nephews, caught in the middle of their mother's web of manipulation. Jamie's looking for an apartment, talking about shared custody. Mom's in therapy, working through her guilt about enabling the situation. And me? I'm focusing on growing this baby, on building the life I carefully planned with my husband. My sister's choices were never about me. They were about her own inability to live with the consequences of her decisions. Sometimes the truth doesn't set you free, it just shows you who was really trapped all along. Update 3. 3 months have passed since my last update, and life has shifted in ways I never imagined. The birth of my daughter, Emma, 2 weeks ago brought everything into sharp focus, both the beauty of Planned Parenthood and the wreckage of my sister's choices. Labor was brutal with HG lasting until the final push, but holding Emma made every moment of suffering worth it. My sister wasn't there, of course. She was busy dealing with the aftermath of her own lies crumbling around her. The fake pregnancy test was just the beginning of her unraveling. Jamie moved out a month ago. The day he left, my sister showed up at my house again, this time with all 4 kids in tow. She was different. Disheveled, desperate, clutching a stack of ultrasound photos from her previous pregnancies. "Look how happy we were," she kept saying, spreading them across my kitchen counter while I tried not to throw up from the HG. "Tell Jamie to look at these. Remind him of our perfect family." The kids stood there, confused and quiet, watching their mother break down. My oldest niece, Sarah, 12, caught my eye. There was something in her gaze, a weariness no child should have. Later, she slipped me a note while my sister was in the bathroom. "Aunt Lisa, Mom's been sleeping a lot and crying. Dad says we might need to live with him soon." That note triggered a series of events I wasn't prepared for. Jamie filed for emergency custody the next day after learning my sister had been leaving the younger kids alone while she followed him around town. The court-mandated psychological evaluation revealed what we'd all suspected. She's been struggling with severe mental health issues, masked by her obsession with maintaining her perfect family image. Mom finally broke her silence about the past. Over tea, Ginger, the only thing I could keep down, she told me how my sister had always been fixated on winning at life. In high school, she had to have better grades. In college, she had to have more friends. When I got married first, she rushed her wedding plans to beat my date. The pregnancies weren't just about keeping Jamie. They were about proving she was better at being a woman, a wife, a mother. "I failed both of you," Mom said, her hands shaking around her cup. "I enabled her competition and left you to be her emotional punching bag. I thought I was protecting her, but I was just helping her hurt everyone around her." The custody hearing last week was gut-wrenching. Jamie's lawyer presented the diary Mom had found, along with text messages showing years of manipulation. My sister sat there, alternating between blank stares and bursts of hysterical laughter. When the judge granted Jamie temporary full custody, she turned to me in the courtroom and said something I'll never forget: "At least your baby will have a mentally ill aunt to blame things on. Must be nice to be so perfect you can plan even that." She's been admitted to a psychiatric facility for evaluation. The doctors say she's showing signs of several underlying conditions that went untreated for years while she focused on maintaining her perfect mother facade. Jamie takes the kids to visit her, but Sarah told me last week that it's hard seeing their mom like this. Here's the strangest part. Watching my sister's perfect family image shatter has made me appreciate my own choices even more. Yes, I got pregnant at 34. Yes, I suffered through HG. But every decision was made with clear eyes and honest communication. My husband and I built our life on truth, not competition and manipulation. Last night, while feeding Emma at the 3 a.m., I got a letter from my sister's treatment center. Inside was a card with shaky handwriting: "I'm sorry I tried to make your joy feel like my pain. Congratulations on your baby. Maybe someday I'll learn to be happy for someone else's happiness." I read it 5 times before putting it away. It's not forgiveness. We're far from that. But maybe it's the first real thing she said to me in years. Jamie and the kids come over for dinner twice a week now. We're building a different kind of family, one based on honesty, even when it's messy. Sarah helps with Emma, and I see her relaxing into childhood again, free from the weight of her mother's expectations. The younger ones are slowly learning that love doesn't have to be a competition. My HG is finally gone, and with it, the last traces of guilt about my life choices. Sometimes the path to healing starts with admitting that someone else's pain isn't your responsibility to fix. My sister's journey is her own now, just as my joy with Emma is mine. Mom asked me yesterday if I think we'll ever be a normal family again. I told her normal was never our problem. Pretending to be perfect was. Maybe now we can all just be honestly, messily human together. Looking at Emma sleeping in her carefully planned nursery, in our saved-for house, with my husband who waited with me until we were ready. I know we made the right choice. Sometimes the long road is the one that leads you exactly where you need to be.